Well, it is Wednesday and time for our couples devotional. I hope you guys took some time to do your family mission statement and your marriage mission statement, and that was productive conversation. Today, I thought it would be appropriate for us to talk a little bit about expectations, which can be kind of a scary word. But this time of year definitely brings up a lot of opportunity for expectations, mainly maybe missed expectations, whether it's the gift you're hoping's under the tree or the special Christmas plan or romantic evening you hope your husband puts together, or maybe husband, you're hoping that your wife's going to release you to go do some fun guys weekend. Anyways, there's lots of expectations in marriage, and I thought it might be productive to talk about that today. And how those oftentimes expectations cause a lot of conflict in marriage because we expect things from our spouse, but we don't ever communicate them. And so we're disappointed when our spouse doesn't follow through. And so today we're going to give a little bit of time and attention to that and see how we can maybe avoid that, especially at this time of year with lots going on. I want to remind us from Ephesians 4:29, this idea of don't let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what's helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. Again, I want to just remind us that in marriage that there's productive and unproductive ways to communicate. And oftentimes in the arena of expectations, we can get angry and say the unwholesome stuff, the stuff that's mean and hurtful. But having productive conversation about expectations can be certainly very helpful for building your spouse up and building up your marriage. So I just want us to be reminded of that particular verse. So let's talk for a few minutes about expectations and what are they? First of all, they affect every area of your marriage. It doesn't matter. You have an expectation, whether it's the chores around the house or how many times you have sex in a week. Lots of expectations in marriage. Expectations, the purpose of them is that they create the filter with which we see the world. So what we expect from people then comes through that filter that we create. And then when people don't fit into that mold, it gets very frustrating and disappointing. Expectations define how you think things should go. So again, that definitely has a huge place in marriage, that if your spouse isn't doing what you think they should be doing, then you're going to get frustrated and angry. And lastly, they're formed through our families of origin, how we saw mom and dad behave when we were growing up, from past relationships that you've had, cultural influences around us. So let's look at then, how do we manage expectations? How can this become productive for you guys? Well, first, start with yourself. Look at yourself. What are your expectations of your spouse? When you're disappointed, that's a good indicator that expectations have been missed. Why were you disappointed? Why do you expect certain things? What have you put in your mind that has created this expectation for your spouse? Then you need to clearly communicate to one another what those are. You need to talk about what you each discovered. You need to decide together what expectations are reasonable and unreasonable. There may be some expectations that you have that aren't reasonable or possible. So you need to talk about that. And then lastly, you want to create a plan and you want to find ways to meet the other's expectations. And I think if you guys can have a productive conversation, really look at yourself and then communicate clearly, I think you guys can see that you will save yourself a lot of pain and grief, especially at this time of year with lots of things going on and pressures around, that can really protect you from unnecessary conflict and can bring you to a place of, great fulfillment in meeting one another's expectations. So good luck on that.